I seek refuge with Allah from the accursed Satan, in the name of Allah, the most gracious. May Allah send blessings upon our Master and Prophet, the chosen Muhammad. Now let us continue talking about Al-Jannah. Indeed, we in the Islamic sources such as the Holy Quran and in the narrations refer to the words narrated from the Prophet of Islam, peace be upon him and his family, and from his purified family, known as Ahlul Bayt. Here we will continue discussing Al-Jannah. Al-Jannah in Arabic has been mentioned many times in the Holy Quran. In the Holy Quran we have several verses that point towards paradise. The first verse is the imperative verb hurry up, running towards the soul's salvation, towards the forgiveness of Allah, the forgiveness of your Lord. One must hurry towards Al-Jannah in this material world, which means making every effort. It is a great competition towards paradise. And here it will give a detail about Al-Jannah, saying that the width of paradise can be described as greater than the earth and all the heavens combined. If you were to gather everything, Al-Jannah is greater than this. It has indeed been truly prepared for the obedient believers. Muttaqi. Taqwa means a person who possesses piety, a fear of Allah, and always keeps Allah present in their mind. This person has such a great love for Allah that it prevents them from falling into sin, granting them chastity, modesty, and piety. And if we want to translate the word taqwa into Spanish, we can say it refers to a person who reaches spiritual perfection and does not commit sin. Imam al-Sajjad has a very beautiful narration about Al-Jannah. He says, "Indeed, I have not seen anything as beautiful as Al-Jannah. But the people who seek it are not so, worried about reaching Al-Jannah. If Al-Jannah is so precious, if Al-Jannah is so lovely, so beautiful, then it is worth doing everything possible to reach Al-Jannah. So the truth is, I am surprised when I see the people who seek Al-Jannah. They are like those who are asleep, as if the people who seek it are in a deep slumber. And I have not seen anything as terrifying as the fire of hell. And I have not seen anything as terrifying as the fire of hell, which also does not concern the person who is already escaping from hell. How can it be that we want to escape from hell, to distance ourselves from hell, and yet we are people who are calm and indifferent to any sin? Whatever is available, whatever brings us pleasure, we do it. And supposedly we are escaping from hell. I am astonished." The next narration asks, if a person is questioned about what the purpose of their life is, would you say, for example, to buy a car, I don't know, to buy a house, to marry so-and-so, I don't know, to become the president of my country, which one? In Mu'alli Salam it is said that the greatest and most virtuous goal a person can have is to reach Al-Jannah. In the following narration it is said that Al-Jannah is the house of tranquility. You seek calm, you seek tranquility in Al-Jannah, you will find it in a verse of the Holy Quran. God purchases the souls of the believers, and in exchange, the price for those obedient souls will be Al-Jannah. God is a good buyer and also negotiates and offers a good price. It means that Al Jannah is something that has no end. It is infinite. God tells us, look, that life I have given you, dedicate it to perfecting yourself. The material things, the wealth I have given you, dedicate it to attaining Al Jannah, and I myself will grant you paradise. It is very interesting. Who has given you your life, your health? God. The same God says, dedicate it to your own perfection, and I will give you a gift. It's like a student who helps you, teaches you, and says, look, if you get the best points, I will give you a gift. It means everything is for your benefit, your perfection, your spiritual health, and Al Jannah. So Allah is helping us to reach our ultimate goal, which is Al Jannah. Imam Al-Sajjad says, your life is indeed quite precious. Value it and do not sell it for anything less than Al Jannah. Do not sell it except for Al Jannah. If you know the price of your life, you will live 60 years, 70 years, 80 years, and in the end, what have you achieved? A house that your children will inherit, since it will be replaced by other people. So what? What have you achieved? Imalia, you must attain Al Jannah. Imam Al-Sajjad, peace be upon him and his family, in the following narration says that the price of Al Jannah is good deeds. If you do what is right, that is the price of paradise. And in our narration, it is equal to the army. The kingdom of the earth is the kingdom of the earth. If you are a person who is fond of, we can say, attached to the material world, to material pleasures, it is quite difficult to reach Al Jannah, because many times these appetites, these worldly, carnal desires lead us to fall into the lesser. Therefore, the first step and the first condition for us is to abstain from attachment to the material world. It's not that you don't use the material world, it's that you shouldn't be attached to it. How can one not be attached to the material world? Many times we take advantage of the material world. We eat, we have family, we have a wife, we have a house, we have a good car, there is no problem. This attachment you have to the material world, where you cannot give alms or help someone in need, is dangerous. Look at an example. Imam Khomeini, a great man of God, a great leader of the Muslims who helped many Muslims awaken. I recommend that you read the history of Mongioveni. What is Mongioveni like? He comes to power and you see the house of Mongioveni in Tehran. It is less, we can say, more humble, more modest than the house of a poor person. Why? If a person comes to power, what is the first thing they do? They are going to build their own palace. Which president in the world do you know who lives in a house as modest as that of Imam Al-Sajjad or as that of today? These are individuals who, in order to reach that spiritual perfection, first learned that the path to perfection is through Zoho, which means eliminating attachment to the mundane. For example, we eat. It's fine. But why do you eat? Is it to enjoy or to provide what the body needs? These are two different intentions. We have learned to eat for enjoyment. Therefore, many times we eat things that harm our health. We do not care. We eat what is unnecessary. And we eat until we are full. All of this damages our health and our bodies. Therefore, on the path to perfection, this is harmful to our spiritual and physical health. Let's see the example mentioned in the narrations. They say that in order to have the strength to worship Allah and obey Him, one must serve others. If that is the goal of eating, then you will struggle against your desire, against your passion, against what is attachment. A simple example in Iran is that when it is very hot, in the summer, people eat a lot of watermelons from the desert. They are quite large, and the truth is they are very sweet. very tasty for a desert full of heat. The truth is the most delicious we can have and the most soothing. Then, a student of Limau, Khomeini says, in one summer, look, at that time there was no air conditioning in the city of Qom or in Najaf. So he says, I went to visit Imam Khomeini. I don't know if they had a fan or not, but it was still very hot in the middle of summer. When I arrived at Mojwaini's place, he had cut watermelon served on a plate in front of himself. When we arrived, he hid that plate of served watermelon behind the table. He hid it elsewhere and served us tea and other things, but he did not serve us the watermelon he had prepared. Later, when other students of Mom left, I dared to ask the teacher, Master, I know you. You had watermelon served on this plate, well cut, but you have hidden it. And why is that? There must have been some wise reason. Then Juan said, well, go ahead, eat. So I started to taste that watermelon that he had cut for himself. I started eating watermelon, but it was salty. They had sprinkled salt on watermelon, which is sweet, and that is so detestable. It is no longer tasty. It is no longer delicious. I ate a little of it, and I said I can't eat more. And I asked, Master, why did you put salt on the watermelon? Did I understand why you didn't serve that watermelon? Because it had salt. But who did it? And why is that? He smiled and explained, saying, look, my son, in this summer with so much heat, I had a craving to eat watermelon. Then I saw that if I serve watermelon to myself, I am helping my ego to strengthen, because I am giving what my ego likes. Look, brothers, those spiritual concepts that perhaps we, being so selfish, so self-centered that we live to serve our ego, may seem insignificant or incomprehensible to us. However, for the mystics, the first thing they learn is to step on their ego in order to perfect themselves, to transcend themselves and reach where God is. For them, it does make sense. So I saw that I like watermelon, and to avoid being attached to this food, to this fruit, I added a little salt so it wouldn't be so tasty, and I would only eat what is necessary. My God, the truth is quite profound. When thinking about the examples, of course examples from the Ahlul Bayt, examples from our beloved Prophet, may Allah send blessings upon our Master and Prophet, the chosen Muhammad, are far superior. But the example of Imam al-Sajjad is a contemporary person among us. The truth is that it is quite difficult for us to take this example, the example of pure, perfect, and spiritually perfected individuals. Then in Mamalia, it says that the price to reach Al-Janna is to have Zuhud, which means to abstain from worldly pleasures and joys. This way, you will reach paradise. Next narration from Imam al-Sajjad. We are talking about the price of Al-Jannah, saying La ilaha illallah is indeed the price of paradise. Oh, very well, truly. We say La ilaha illallah, there is no deity but God, but Allah. We enter Al-Jannah with a condition. Not just the word, but that it comes from the heart. It means a word that comes from the heart of your faith, that the truth in your heart has no divinity other than Allah. How many deities do we worship? That is a question. What does the truth mean? Which masters? And how many masters do we have in our lives? How many people do we care about pleasing? Only God. Or do I care about my work, my money, my, I don't know, business, my, this, this next to God. And there are people who do not even think about Allah. What place does Allah have in our lives? Let's calculate from the morning when we wake up until the night, how many acts we are doing solely for Allah. That is important. If we do everything for Allah, that is different. Life will have a different color and a different flavor. We live for Allah and life is for Allah. And this is the truth, very important. One day, the Prophet of Islam, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, organized a competition in the mosque. A camel or something like that had arrived. Then the Prophet, may Allah send blessings upon our Master and Prophet, the chosen Muhammad, said, all the companions were present. If one can perform 2 units of prayer, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, that during all those moments, from when he says Allahu Akbar to when he finishes the prayer, he should only be thinking of Allah, meaning he should have his heart present. Very well. Could the Prophet of Islam see their hearts as they pray or not? Then each of the companions began to pray, to see if they could perform 2 cycles, but for 2 minutes, only thinking of Allah, and that this prayer be solely for Allah with a present heart. Well, none of them could do it. In the end, Imam al-Sajjad, peace be upon him and his family, was able to do it. And the Prophet of Islam said very well, Ali, you have done very well, 2000. In all those moments, you had your heart present and only thought of Allah. At the last moment, were you also thinking about how, when you received this camel, you would give it as charity to the poor in the way of Allah? That is also for Allah. That is also acceptable. So look at a life like that of Imam al-Sajjad. Even when he is receiving a reward, a prize, he is thinking about how to give it as charity to the poor. And we, as we are, let us think about living for Allah. The person who lives their life for Allah here will enjoy life in and with the love of Allah. And beyond, they will have Al-Janna. Let us proceed to the next talk, explaining about Al-Janna. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon all of you.